A historic dawn in Rome. Pope Leo XIV's inauguration stirs the world. In the eternal embrace of Rome, where the whispers of apostles and emperors linger in the stone, a transformative moment unfolded over the weekend, drawing the world's gaze to St. Peter's Square. Beneath a luminous autumn sky, tens of thousands converged. Pilgrims clutching rosaries, global leaders in solemn procession, and activists waving rainbow flags to witness the inauguration of Pope Leo XIV. This was no mere ritual. It was a vibrant tapestry of faith, power, and pressing questions about the Catholic Church's path, especially for the LGBTQIA+ community, whose place within its sacred walls has become a global fault line. As the basilica's bells tolled, their deep, resonant peals slicing through the crisp October air, a hush fell over the crowd, each heart sensing that this new pontiff's words would echo far beyond the Vatican, shaping the lives of 1.4 billion Catholics and the world they inhabit. Imagine the scene: a sprawling sea of humanity, faces alight with hope, shadowed by doubt, or etched with reverence. Scarlet-robed cardinals moved with deliberate grace, their footsteps a soft cadence on ancient cobblestones. The scent of incense curled through the air, mingling with murmurs in Italian, Swahili, and Mandarin. Heads of state, European monarchs, Latin American presidents, Asian diplomats sat in quiet unity, their presence a testament to the Vatican's enduring influence. As the choir's Latin hymns soared, their voices weaving a celestial thread, anticipation thickened. Then Pope Leo XIV stepped onto the balcony of St. Peter's Basilica, his white cassock catching the sunlight, his expression a blend of serenity and steel. In that electric moment, the world held its breath, aware that a new era was dawning, one destined to inspire, challenge, and divide. This inauguration was a declaration, a bold stroke on the canvas of history. Pope Leo XIV, a scholar and pastor renowned for his unyielding convictions, assumed the papacy with a vision anchored in the Church's ancient doctrines. In his first address, delivered with a voice both calm and commanding, he spoke of faith, family, and the gospel's eternal truths. The family, he proclaimed, is the sacred union of a man and a woman, a divine ordinance that anchors society. The words, rooted in centuries of tradition, landed with seismic force in a world shaped by his predecessor's outreach, particularly to the LGBTQIA+ community. For some, this was a triumphant return to orthodoxy. For others, a jarring retreat from inclusivity. As cameras swept across the crowd, capturing tear-streaked pilgrims, pensive diplomats, and activists exchanging anxious glances, one truth emerged: Pope Leo XIV's papacy will be a crucible for the Church's soul, testing its ability to navigate a fractured world. The weight of tradition, family, and the Church's roots. The inauguration's splendor gave way to substance as Pope Leo XIV met with the Vatican's diplomatic corps in a hall adorned with frescoes that have witnessed centuries of papal pronouncements. Before ambassadors from over 100 nations, he elaborated on his vision. The family, founded on the stable and sacred bond between a man and a woman, is the cradle of humanity, he said, his tone measured yet resolute. This stance, while echoing Catholic doctrine, stood in stark contrast to Pope Francis's efforts to extend blessings to LGBTQIA+ relationships, a move that had kindled hope among progressives and unease among traditionalists. For the LGBTQIA+ community and their allies, Leo XIV's words were a profound disappointment. Under Pope Francis, the Church had taken tentative steps toward inclusivity. His 2023 decision to allow priests to bless same-sex couples while not equating their unions to marriage was a landmark gesture. "Francis made us feel seen," wrote Maria, a queer Catholic from Buenos Aires, in a viral X post. "His blessings were a sign of love, however imperfect." Leo XIV's words feel like a door slamming shut. Another user, a theology student from Chicago, shared, "I'm torn. I want to give Leo XIV time, but his focus on traditional marriage stings for those of us who fought for a place in the church. To grasp the depth of this shift, consider Leo XIV's past. In 2012, as a cardinal addressing bishops, he decried popular culture for promoting beliefs and practices contrary to the gospel, specifically citing the homosexual lifestyle and same-sex families with adopted children. These remarks, now circulating widely online, have deepened fears that his papacy will prioritize doctrinal purity over pastoral outreach. "Francis showed us mercy," said a young activist in a viral TikTok. "He met with LGBTQIA plus Catholics, listened to our stories. I pray Leo XIV finds that same compassion, but I'm bracing for less." Traditionalists, however, see Leo XIV as a beacon of clarity. "The church isn't a cultural chameleon," wrote a conservative commentator on X. "Marriage is one man, one woman. Leo XIV is upholding truth." Another supporter tweeted, "Francis blurred the lines. Leo XIV draws them clearly. This is what the church needs." For these voices, his emphasis on traditional family structures is a return to the church's core, correcting what they viewed as Francis's overly flexible stance. The divide reflects a broader tension. Can the church balance its ancient teachings with a diverse, modern world? Francis, often called the People's Pope, leaned on mercy, seeking dialogue even as he upheld doctrine. Leo XIV, by contrast, prioritizes conviction, a choice that resonates with conservatives but risks alienating progressives. "Francis was an exception," noted a liberal blogger. "The church is inherently conservative, and Leo XIV is its natural state." Abortion and the sanctity of life. Leo XIV's conservative vision extends to other contentious issues. In his diplomatic address, he reaffirmed the church's opposition to abortion, declaring, "The unborn, like the elderly, are God's creations endowed with inherent dignity." This stance, while consistent with Catholic teaching, has reignited debates in a world where reproductive rights are a flashpoint. Liberal commentators were swift to criticize. "Leo XIV's views on abortion, gender, and sexuality are regressive," wrote a prominent feminist scholar. "The church risks becoming a relic." Pro-life advocates, however, celebrated. "Abortion is a moral tragedy, and Leo XIV isn't afraid to say it," tweeted a Catholic ethicist. "He's defending life at every stage." Another user added, "The Pope's job isn't to win popularity contests, it's to speak truth." Leo XIV is doing that. These reactions highlight a polarized landscape. While some see his stance as dogmatic, others view it as a principled defense of life. The abortion debate underscores Leo XIV's broader approach: clarity over compromise. Unlike Francis, who often framed moral issues with pastoral nuance, Leo XIV favors directness. "Truth must be spoken even with blunt language," he said, a line that has become a rallying cry for supporters. Critics, however, argue this risks alienating younger Catholics, particularly in regions like Europe and North America, where progressive values hold sway. A 2024 Pew Research poll found that 60% of U.S. Catholics support legal abortion in some cases, a statistic that complicates Leo XIV's path. A global moral voice, challenging Trump and Vance. If Leo XIV's domestic policies have sparked debate, his international interventions have ignited a firestorm. In a bold move, he used his platform to challenge U.S. political figures Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, focusing on their immigration policies. Before the diplomatic corps, he denounced mass deportations as assaults on human dignity, urging nations to view migrants as individuals with stories, not statistics. "We must never reduce people to numbers," he said, his voice carrying quiet intensity. "Every migrant has a name, a face, a history." The remarks were a direct critique of the Trump administration's deportation agenda. Leo XIV cited cases like Kilmar Albergo Garcia, a migrant whose removal sparked global outcry, and Andre Romero, a gay asylum seeker deported to face persecution. Both, he noted, were deported under Trump's orders. While some celebrate deportation figures like market gains, he said, the Church names this a human rights crisis. The words, delivered before over 100 diplomats, sent shockwaves through political circles, positioning Leo XIV as a moral counterweight to Trump's influence. Trump's supporters reacted with fury. The Vatican has no business meddling in U.S. policy, snapped a MAGA commentator on X. Trump's securing our country. Others, however, hailed Leo XIV's courage. The world's spiritual leader just challenged America's political titan, wrote a progressive analyst. This is a defining moment. The global stage, diplomats from Asia to Africa listening intently, amplified the message, ensuring it echoed worldwide. Tensions were evident during J.D. Vance's attendance at the inauguration. Observers noted a frosty exchange, with one tweeting, "Zelensky got a warm meeting with Leo XIV. Vance was lucky to get 15 seconds." Another shared a viral clip writing, "Leo XIV waving Vance and his wife away with a single gesture was pure shade." The moment, showing the Pope urging Vance to move along, fueled speculation about the Vatican's view of Trump's allies. This wasn't the Vatican's first clash with Trump. A month earlier, a Vatican statement criticized policies that dehumanize migrants. A veiled jab at the U.S. Leo XIV's latest remarks, however, were unmistakable. "He's not just speaking to Catholics," said a European diplomat. "He's reminding the world that power must serve humanity." The intervention has sparked debates about the Church's role in geopolitics, with some praising Leo XIV's moral clarity and others questioning his involvement in secular affairs. The Church in a fractured world. Leo XIV's papacy arrives at a pivotal moment. The Catholic Church, with its global reach, faces challenges both internal and external. Internally, it grapples with declining attendance in the West, clergy abuse scandals, and debates over inclusivity. Externally, it navigates a world marked by polarization, migration crises, and cultural shifts. Leo XIV's approach, rooted in tradition yet unafraid to engage global issues, reflects a complex strategy. Historically, popes have shaped the Church's trajectory in times of crisis. Pope John Paul II, with his charisma and anti-communist stance, galvanized the faithful during the Cold War. Pope Benedict XVI, a theologian, emphasized doctrinal rigor. Francis, with his focus on mercy, sought to make the Church a field hospital for a wounded world. Leo XIV, blending orthodoxy with moral activism, may carve a unique path. "He's a traditionalist with a global conscience," said a Vatican historian. That combination could redefine the papacy. Global reactions to Leo XIV reflect this complexity. In Latin America, where Catholicism remains strong, some see him as a defender of values eroded by secularism. "Leo XIV speaks for families," said a Brazilian priest. In Europe, however, progressive Catholics worry about alienation. "Young people want a church that listens," said a German youth leader. Leo XIV's rigidity could push them away. In Africa, where the Church is growing, his stance on life and family resonates, but his immigration critiques have sparked debate. "He's right to defend migrants," said a Kenyan activist. "But local issues matter too." Voices from the faithful. To capture the human impact, consider the stories emerging from St. Peter's Square. Elena, a 30-year-old Italian teacher, stood among the crowd, clutching a rosary. "Leo XIV's words about family give me hope," she said. "The world feels chaotic. We need roots." Nearby, Javier, a Spanish student identifying as non-binary, felt differently. "I came to see history, but I'm worried," they said. "The Church should embrace everyone, not just traditional families." Online, the debate rages. Ex-posts range from fervent support, "Leo XIV is the Pope we need," to sharp criticism. His views on LGBTQIA+ people and abortion are stuck in the past. A viral thread by a U.S. Catholic mom went viral. "I love the Church, but I want my gay son to feel welcome." Leo XIV's traditionalism feels like a rejection of Francis's legacy. Another user countered, "Francis bent to culture. Leo XIV stands firm. The Church isn't a democracy." Theological reflections. Tradition versus progress. Theologically, Leo XIV's papacy raises profound questions. Catholicism teaches that marriage is a sacrament, a divine institution between a man and a woman. Leo XIV's emphasis on this doctrine aligns with the Catechism, which describes homosexual acts as intrinsically disordered, yet calls for respect toward LGBTQIA+ individuals. His critics argue this creates a paradox. How can the Church uphold dignity while rejecting certain identities? Supporters, however, see no contradiction, viewing his stance as a defense of divine order. On abortion, Leo XIV's position reflects the Church's teaching that life begins at conception. Yet the global landscape, where countries like Ireland and Argentina have legalized abortion, complicates his message. The Church must engage, not condemn, said a Filipino theologian. Leo XIV's clarity is vital, but pastoral sensitivity matters too. The papacy's global influence. The papacy has long shaped culture and politics. From medieval crusades to modern human rights advocacy, popes have wielded moral authority. Leo XIV's critiques of Trump and Vance place him in this tradition, echoing Pope John Paul II's stand against communism or Francis's environmental encyclical. Yet in a secular age, his influence faces limits. The West listens less to popes now, said a French sociologist, but in the global South, Leo XIV's voice carries weight. His immigration stance, for instance, resonates in regions like Central America, where migration is a daily reality. Leo XIV speaks for us, said a Guatemalan migrant. In contrast, some U.S. Catholics align with Trump's policies, creating tension. The Pope doesn't understand our context, said a Texan parishioner. This divide underscores the challenge of leading a universal church. Looking ahead. A papacy of contrasts. As Pope Leo XIV begins his reign, he emerges as a figure of contrasts, a traditionalist challenging political giants, a conservative commanding global attention, a pastor whose clarity unites and divides. His supporters see him as a defender of truth, guarding against moral relativism. His critics fear a church retreating from inclusivity. Both agree. Leo XIV will shape the church's future. The inauguration set the tone, blending splendor with gravity. From Rome's vibrant streets to X's digital forums, the world is grappling with this papacy. Will Leo XIV soften, bridging tradition and progress? Or will he hold firm, steering the church toward orthodoxy? For now, the bells of St. Peter's ring heralding a chapter that will test the church and the world. In St. Peter's Square, the memory lingers, the sun's warmth, the choir's song, a new pope stepping into history. For those watching globally, the questions endure. Can the church unite a fractured world? Can tradition and compassion coexist? And how will Pope Leo XIV, with his blend of conviction and courage, shape the future? As Rome's shadows lengthen, one truth stands clear. Leo XIV's journey has begun, and the world is along for the ride.